Good morning, students. Today I am going to continue your chapter number 5, the Sangam Age. We are already done with the sources, Tamil kingdoms, and now we have to start from local chieftains. Local chieftains of Sangam age. Apart from the three kingdoms, a number of local chieftains ruled in different parts of the Tamil Nadu. Chieftains means leader or head of the tribe, and they ruled in different parts of Tamil Nadu and they were known as valors. And the Sangam literature tells us a lot of information about them. The most famous among the valors were called Seven Petrels or Kadayulu Valalgal. And like the Chera, Chola, and Pandya rulers, the local chieftains also played a significant role in the political, social, and cultural domains during the Sangam age. Next is society. The Sangam literature gives a true picture of the society in the Sangam age. The Sangam social structure rested on traditional caste systems and their occupations. The literature speak of farmers, shepherds, hunters, fishermen, blacksmiths, weavers, carpenters, merchants, shippers, and priests. And at that time, the Brahmins of Sangam society were ideal priests. And the Tolkapiyam, which we have discussed earlier, has mentioned four castes, namely Brahmanas, kings, traders, and farmers. These references in the Tolkapiyam obviously show the influence of the Sanskrit social ideal. And the Brahmins during the Sangam age were a respectable and very learned community. They performed their caste duty very well and they served the king occasionally and as judicial officers and always as priests and astrologers. They were attracted to the land and were proud of their country and their mother tongue. And it seems that trade was common to both the Vaishyas and Velalars. The Vaishyas were assigned the duties of learning, performing sacrifices, making gifts, agriculture, protection of cows, and trade. And who were the Velalars? Velalars were landed aristocrats who cultivated the wetlands during the Sangam age, and they had very close associations or you can say relations with the high positions of office with the three main dynasties Cheras, Cholas, and Pandyas. Now we'll read about the five Dinais. Five Dinais were the division of the land into five areas. These five areas were, first one was the Kurinji. Kurinji means hilly backwoods area. Next was the Mulai. Mulai means pastoral tract. Next was the Palai. Palai means parched zones. Next was the Murutham means wetland, and last one was the Neetal means littoral land. These were the divisions which they made on land, and the points in the anthologies describe the mode of human adaptation in each Dinai and the various social groups there. The inhabitants of the hilly areas, they were mostly hunters and gatherers. In the pass zone, the inhabitants lived by plunder and cattle lifting. In the pastoral tract, the inhabitants were mostly engaged in shifting agriculture and they used to do the animal husbandry. And the wetland was inhabited by people subsisting on plough agriculture. Next is the food and dress of the Sangam people. Rice was the staple food during the Sangam period. The food habits varied among the people according to their economic status. The rich had their feast every day, while the poor took simple food. Chewing betel leaves was very common among the people. And apart from that, grain, meat, and fish formed the chief articles of food, with vegetables, milk, and milk products. And their clothing comprised two pieces of cloth. Women in high society used corsets and hair pastes, and ornaments were worn by both males and females, and the children wore a necklace of tiger teeth. Next point is entertainment. The Sangam age people made use of different modes of entertainment during their leisure time, or you can say during their free times. Music and dance filled a good part of the spare time of men and women. And in the villages, cockfighting, goat fighting were very popular, and gambling was also practiced there. Wrestling was a common form of sport enjoyed by the youth, and though at times it led to the death of one of the contestants. So children played various games. Next is position of women. The status of women in Sangam society was not equal to that of men. The Sangam society consisted of different kinds of women. There were married women who had settled down as dutiful housewives, and they were looking after their husbands and children. There were female ascetics belonging to Buddhist or Jain tradition, like Konadi Adigal and Mani Megalai. There were a large number of there were large number of court sons. The worship of Kannagi or Patni was perhaps a very early institution and was an extension of the worship of the goddess of chastity. Next is marriage. There is a very little information about the institution of marriage during the Sangam age. Tolkappiyam say that the Aryans introduced the rituals and ceremonies of marriage, which was known as Karanam. They distinguish secret marriage from the open marriage and open alliance contracted with the consent of the parents. They believe that the consent of the parents is very much important for the marriage, and they refer to the 8 forms of marriages known to the Sanskrit Dharmashastras. Next is economy. The economy during the Sangam age was very simple and self-sufficient. The people were industrious and they believed in living well by earning wealth. The Sangam literature points to the existence of both the wealthy and the poor people in the society. The wealthy people included the kings, and the poor people were those who surrounded them. The poor were either the farmers and casual laborers or the wandering people. Next is the agriculture. Agriculture was the main occupation of the Sangam age, and their main crop was rice, while other crops included cotton, ragi, sugarcane, pepper, ginger, and construction of embankments and canals for irrigation was also undertaken by the state. Chera country was famous for its jackfruit, pepper and turmeric, and in the Chola country a piece of land yielded much paddy. Now let us just understand about the other occupations of the Sangam people. Next to agriculture, spinning and weaving were the most widely practiced crafts at that time. Spinning and weaving of cotton and also of silk had attained a very high degree of perfection at that time. Spinning was the part-time occupation of the women, and Urayur was a major center of the cotton trade. And some of the poems which was written at that time, they have mentioned that the cotton cloth at that time was as thin as the skin of the snake, and even it was so finely woven that the eye could not follow the course of the thread. This was the perfection which they have attained at that time, and scissors and needles was also known to them. Apart from this, shipbuilding, metalworking, carpentry, rope making, making of ivory products were also widely practiced at that time. Last is the trade. The Sangam literature is full of details regarding the commercial activities of the people. Trade, both internal and foreign, was very well organized and briskly carried on throughout the period. Internal trade was very brisk. It was through the caravans of merchants with carts and pack animals carried their merchandise from place to place, and most of the trade was carried on by barter. I hope you know about the barter system. Barter means exchange of things. Salt was sold for paddy, and paddy was sold by in price in terms of salt. Honey and root were exchanged for fish oil, and there were established markets called angadi in the bigger towns, and hawkers carried goods to the houses of the people. They were doing the trade with the foreign countries also. According to the Sangam literature, the Tamil land had certain commodities which were in great demand in foreign markets. These included pepper, ginger, cardamom, cinnamon, turmeric, ivory products, pearls, precious stones, etc. The main imports included horses, gold, and glass. And the port cities were the centers of foreign trade. Big ships entered the port of Puhar, bringing in precious merchandise from overseas. And the family of the rich merchants lived on the upper floors, while the lower ones were set up for business. Salur in the Pandra country and Bandar in the Chera are counted among the most important ports in the points, and these two ports are very important. It can come in the paper for 1 or 2 marks. The gold and the silver coins from the Roman Empire found in the interior of the Tamil land indicate that the extent of the trade was very famous at that time. The Periplus of the Red Sea that describes navigation and trade of the Roman Empire gives information on the trade between India and the Roman Empire. It mentions the port of Nora, Tindis, and Muziris as of the leading importance of the west coast. So students, this is all about this chapter. If you have any doubt, you can call me anytime. Thank you.